Hey everybody, Tony here, and welcome back to another episode of TTBurger Game Reviews. Well, actually, I just welcome you all back to another episode of TTBurger Shockingly Bad Game Reviews, because we got another game here that's shockingly bad, to the point where I didn't know it would be this awful and stuff like that. But, getting on topic here, I'm sure you all know that back in May of this year, I reviewed the game Donald Duck Going Quackers for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, GameCube, and stuff like that, and I gave it an 8 out of 10 because it was a fun 3D platformer. Even though there were some problems I had with it, it was still a must-buy platform if you were a fan of the character Donald Duck and stuff, and a fan of platforming games and such. And you're probably wondering, Tony, why are you bringing this up in this episode? Well, for this episode, I'm going to be talking about a game that once again stars Donald Duck, actually his superhero alter ego character, PK. And you're probably wondering, where did PK come from? Well, back in 1996, there was a comic made by Disney Italy, called PKNA Papernick New Adventures, which basically was a comic about the superhero form of Donald Duck stuff, that PK and stuff, which was made by Guido Martina, Eliza Pena, Giovanni Battista Capri, and it pretty much was like talk about Donald Duck Denny and stuff like that and such. But I didn't read the comic because it was only released in Europe and Italy and stuff like that, so I never really got to read it. But there was a game released about PK in year 2002 on the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube, and we got it right here, PK Out of the Shadows. I believe we got the PlayStation 2 version because it's the only one I have. And I should point out this game was also known as Donald Duck PK or simply just PK. Now, getting into this game, I literally thought that they were going to take all the stuff that made Donald Duck Going Quackers enjoyable and fun and take it in here and make it better. But unfortunately, that's not the case here at all, because this game is a huge step backwards to the point where you can't even consider this a sequel. But this game doesn't even serve as a sequel as Donald Duck Going Quackers, because both these games are in two separate categories and stuff. But getting that out of the way, let's start off with the story here, which the opening cutscene tells us. The story starts off as Donald Duck working as a security guard in the Duckclair Tower that his Uncle Scrooge had just bought. While on the job, he falls asleep and starts having a dream of Daisy and his nephew Huey and Dewey mocking him, wishing he was a superhero and making fun of him and stuff like that. And after he wakes up from the dream, he is greeted by this artificial duck intelligence, this green floating head named One, who tells him that you want to be a superhero? Well, come with me and I'll get you all set up. And he's given a futuristic weapon, and he's given the name PK and has a new voice, and he begins his training because One needs his help because the planet Earth is being attacked by the Ironians, and he's sending him out to finish the job, even though he's on training and stuff like that. Now, the story here is pretty much nothing special. It seems very, very generic and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you must stop aliens from attacking Earth and stuff like that. You want to be a hero? Go ahead and stuff. This storyline has been done to death, and I really wish that they could have came up with something more realistic and stuff like that. I wish they could have came up with something more original. I mean, now we got the story out of the way. Let's get right into talking about the game here. And as you can see here, what does this game look like to you? It's nothing more than a generic sci-fi first-person shooter, but with PK / Donald Duck in it. Basically, all you do in the game is collect coins to open doors and access checkpoints and pretty much rescue scientists and stuff like that and flip switches and stuff. It's basically all generic stuff, and it basically just isn't that much fun because there's not much to do. It's all generic and super easy and stuff like that. And there are some platforming elements here in the game, but it's just the platforming is just not that great. It's a huge step backwards to the point where I'm gonna scratch my head wondering, why did they rush this game out and stuff, with all these problems here and stuff. And as you can see here, the game's graphics here are pretty much take the cell shaded form, which look okay, but they're pretty much nothing special. Donald Duck Going Quackers looked a lot better than this. and I'm actually wondering why they did these cel-shaded graphics, but that's just me. And like, the problem is that like this could have been awesome because you get to learn about Donald Duck's superhero alter ego form, and unfortunately they made it into a mockery because of how bad this game is and stuff. And as you can see here, all you do is move around, shoot, jump up boxes, and just activate switches and stuff like that. It's basically just all you do. And like, this game does have a lot of problems with it and stuff like that, which I need to talk about here. And yet, there's no aim feature. The only way to aim is by strafing, by holding down the R2 button, and you can switch out the targets by flicking the right analog stick left and right. Killing the enemies and looking for the coins and stuff like that and such is a no-brainer stuff. But you also be spending time looking for scientists too, which are pretty much my least favorite part of the game. Actually, one of my least favorite parts of the game. Because the scientists are hidden in obscure areas, and you're given a time limit to save them, and the time limit is so low, you won't be able to rescue them all. And the problem is, in order to get the best ending, you need to rescue all the scientists. And so it forces you to replay these levels over and over again. And these levels here are not that much fun. It's like, the platforming is terrible too because you can't double jump. You have a jetpack that you can get later on as one of your power-ups, but you'll miss ledges to the point where you'll have to keep jumping up to them and stuff, and just in frustration, it'll take you longer to beat the levels because of this. And this is just so frustrating because it would be nice if they gave you a double jump option and stuff like that. And also the frame rate bogs down quite a bit when you're facing a bunch of enemies and stuff like that. So this game is not really smooth and just doesn't run the greatest either. I heard the GameCube version is actually worse and stuff, but since I haven't played the GameCube version, I don't know. But if it is worse, then I guess I should count that as a blessing, because I'm playing the one that's like not as bad as the GameCube version, like the better version and stuff like that. But still, there's barely any bosses either. I didn't even finish the game because the game was so boring and stuff like that because you're doing the same thing over and over again. In fact, that's another thing I should say too. There is no variety. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Finding scientists, shooting switches to open doors, opening doors by landing on those checkpoint thingies and stuff like that, and jumping up boxes and stuff. It's like, it's all the same. To the point where it's just going to get frustratingly annoying and stuff, and yet, not more. I mean, frustratingly annoying because it's boring and stuff. It's like frustrating and boring because I wanted something new here and something original, but all this is just generic. And the game's difficulty is all over the place. Like, for most of the time, it's super easy, but they like to pull some tricks up their sleeves here too. I think the biggest obstacle is being detected by security cameras and searchlights and stuff like that. That's your biggest obstacle there. And even if you get detected, no brainer, just run away into a different room and stuff, and you're fine. And yet, it's just there's just not much to say here about this game. This game is just very generic, very boring, and just there really isn't much to say here because there just really isn't. Because they could have considering how much better Donald Duck Go and Quackers played, and that game came out 2 years before this, and it looks better and plays better too. It's just a big slap in the face, wondering why did they. And also, like I mentioned, the game feels unfinished too, because if they would have took the time, we wouldn't be having any of these problems here at all. But they could have added a variety here, but they didn't. And so that's all I'm gonna say here. I mean, this game is just really nothing special. I mean, if you like Donald Duck, go buy Donald Duck Go and Quackers. The game is 10 times better, plays a lot better, and it's more fun, and has a much better storyline, and it isn't a generic sci-fi shooter like this. And if you're looking for sci-fi shooters, third-person action games like that, there's plenty of them on the market, mainly the Ratchet and Clank games, stuff like that, and such. So definitely check those out because they're better than this pile of junk. So my final rating is: do not buy this game. Do go pick up Donald Duck Go and Quackers or other third-person sci-fi action games and stuff. I mean, just pretty much nothing special here. This game gets a 1 out of 10. That's pretty much all I gotta say. Peace out, everybody, and stay tuned. There's more on the way.